Okay. So, suppose we want to select all the observations that have less than $1,000 per capita. So, let us arbitrarily say 1,000 is the cutoff point. Anything less than 1,000 per capita healthcare cost is low healthcare cost countries. Okay. And then for the infant mortality rate, let us again say 1%. Okay. Now, remember, we can set up parameters. We will talk at length about parameters later on. We already looked at parameters one time before when we did histograms. Remember, you set up a parameter to decide what would be the class width. Okay, so we can use parameters and let users set up, what will be the what threshold value you want to set up for low healthcare cost and low infant mortality. So right now, let's not get into that. So that's what we want to do, right? Okay. So now, if we have to set this up based on a particular dimension. Okay. For a given dimension, all right, we want to select all the infant mortality less than 1% and healthcare expense less than $1,000. Okay. So we can set that up at the level of country, right? So we can say create a set, all right, and you can set up a condition here, and now it will go into countries, okay, and then select based on the condition that we give. So you can say for each country there are 13 lines of data, right, going from 2000 to 2012. Some of them have blanks. So it's 13. Many countries have records for all the 13 years. So you'll have 13 values for healthcare expense. You'll have 13 values, maximum 13. Some of them will have a little bit less than 13. Okay. So how do you set this up? You can say by field, right, birth rate, well, not birth rate, say infant mortality rate, right. So here, if you say sum, then remember we are creating the set based on country. So it's going to add up all the infant mortality every repetition of that particular country. So if it is Australia and there are 13 observations, on the 13 observations will be added up. So you will get some number. So even if it is less than 1%, okay, if it is 1%, so you will have 13% as the value for sum. Or you can do average. Okay, I mean that would work. But that would be like, suppose if you have 13 observations, right? So some years the infant mortality rate is more than 1%, some years is less than 1%, but it's not going to look at individual observations. It's going to average the infant mortality rate, and then if it is less than 1%, then the whole thing gets included, because you're using average as the aggregation, and you're doing it at the level of country. But suppose if you want to include only those instances where the infant mortality rate was less than 1% and the healthcare expense was less than 1,000. Okay, for a combination of, so you want individual values like a country and a year. Okay, in that particular combination, if it satisfied the two conditions, you want that to be included. Okay, I mean, if that's what you want to do. Okay, now this is not going to work, because you are now ignoring the year. You're only looking at the country, so it will get aggregated, and then the filtering will be applied. So, to look at the individual case, you need a new dimension that puts the country and year together. So, you have to create a new calculated field. So, we will call it year country or country year, sorry. Country year. So, we have country, the name of the country gets included. Okay. Now, we want to append the year to this. Okay. So, we can do plus. Okay. Plus acts like a concatenation in Excel. Okay. It just it's a this is not measure. See, so this is a string value, right? So, for a string value, if you use plus, I mean you can't add labels, so it will put them side by side and attach them. Okay. And let us say we want a hyphen in between, okay, and then we want to put the year. Okay. So, the year here is a date field. Okay. So, date field are saved in a special way in the in Tableau, as we have seen. It will be a full day, month and year. So, if you do not have a day or a month, it is going to put 1 1 on the year value, right. So, we have to peel off the year part from the date field, and you can do that using the year function, right. All right. So, now we have country and the year, but then Tableau says there is an error, this is not valid. So, that is because the year function, even though it strips out the year part from the date, it is still a date field. You cannot concatenate a string and a date field. Okay. A string can be concatenated with another string. So, we need to convert this into a string, and you do that using str. Okay. So, now the calculation is valid. So, now for each record, the country and the year will get concatenated, right. So, if you go here and you see the name of the country dash the year. Okay. So, now we can use that field country year and create a set. Okay. So, we say low infant mortality, right. So, we are going to use a condition by field infant mortality rate, right. So, now for a particular year, for a particular country and a particular year, there is only one record. So, it does not matter what you use here, sum or average, it is going to be the same. So, you say less than 0.01, right. So, now we have, let us look at, okay, if you to show members, you see all of these members in the set. Okay. Now we can do another set, right? Create set. Okay, again starting from country year, low health cost per capita. Okay, condition. So here health expense per capita, and again there is only one record for country year, so it doesn't matter what aggregation that you use, say less than 1,000. Right. So now if you look at show members, so it shows all the members, right? But now what we want actually is not the members of one set or the other, but only those who are in both sets, both low expense and low infant mortality. So you go to one of those sets and then select create combined set. Okay. So this is, let's give a name, low infant mortality and low health cost per cap. Okay. Now these two sets can be combined in a left join, right join, outside or inside. Okay, which one should I use here?
Shared members.
That's right. That's the shared members. So you should be there in both the. Okay, so I have to now select the second. Okay, so now we have that. Okay, so we can do describe and then see. So here are the members, 226 members. Okay. Now we duplicate this sheet. Now if you put this newly combined set into filters, okay, let's remove that one out. Okay. So now make sure that you select in or out. Okay, so you want in. So now we have the countries that satisfy both conditions. Now this is a dynamic set because when new information comes in and new records satisfy the conditions, the set membership will change. Right? And you can also on the fly, if you set up parameters, you can allow users to set the conditions for you. Okay. All right.